and do not reflect the opinions of In Touch Radio or its staff.
All right, my brothers. Good morning and welcome to another edition of In Touch News Straight Up the Middle. With yours truly, Pete Edwards. My man Clint Parrish is out today, but I have a dual version of Angela Davis and Shirley Chisholm and everybody
All of the above.
Oh man, listen, brothers. When you're surrounded by two powerful sisters, you can't be intimidated, but you have to review how strong you really are. Because if you're weak-minded or whatever, and you're around two strong sisters that really want to have your back, if you put some effort in it, then you'll be all right. So I'm with Anna and Robin Lockett today with a pretty orange, some kind of shirt she got on there this morning.
Florida Rising.
Florida Rising. But anyway, we're here for another edition, and I want to show this. The In Touch newspaper is out. I want to show this on our Facebook page. It says 2021 Soul Beach Weekend, November the 27th. Only in Florida can you wear long shorts, man. No biker shorts, please. Especially if you get over
biker
40
shorts.
or whatever that is. But anyway, we want you to support In Touch News and the Soul Beach. The edition is out, but this event at Whiskey North on the 27th, I'll be there. I got a new jogging pairs things. I wear a muscle shirt, whatever I have to do. But it's a lot of good entertainment and all. Today, we're going to, Ed Narain has an article. He has a good op-ed piece in the In Touch magazine this week. I got behind on my op-ed pieces, but trust me, Daryl will put them in once I get them to him. That's the publisher of In Touch. And Robin, I got to tell you, last week we had Ed on. And we what happened was, it was interesting. I got off the air, and some of my folks in my coffee group criticized me for talking about holding black elected officials accountable. And one of the examples I gave was with this new effort to move the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. I call them Devil Rays, although their name now is Tampa Rays, but they're Devil Rays because of the way that whole situation came about in the gas plant district over in St. Pete and moving black people out with fake promises and all this other stuff. And now the Rays is scheduled to move. There's a proposal where they're going to move right down there off of Palm Avenue, right across from Tampa Park Apartments, right across from the Children's Board, all of that area there. And some people, I pointed out that every black elected official in Hillsborough County in Tampa, that's their district. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at, my position was they need to come out, whether they for it, using taxpayers' money, spending up to $400 million of taxpayer money, displacement of other businesses, whatever the case may be. Because it's their district, they should take the lead on it. Some people felt that, they said, well, what about the white representatives? Well, when white representatives, things happen in their district, they step up. They come out, whether you agree with them or not. So to those listeners out there, I stand by that. I know all of the black elected officials. Probably 80% of the time I've agreed with them, even though I'm a Republican, because you got to get out of that party label foolishness. That's a ripoff. You got to get off of it. Crime doesn't have party labels. I'm looking at this thing, the news today, kids going to a high school football game in Alabama. They have a shooting at a game. So now they want to put the games during the daytime. Well, you got to protect the kids. The little ones come out to get hot dogs and run around in the stands and cheer even when they don't score a touchdown. So how you going to protect them if you got thugs and hoodlums out there shooting up at a football game? Then you got these people, policemen working at a nightclub, off-duty nightclub. They were looking at something, and you have people come behind them and shoot them in the back. So, there's a lot of things that it has nothing to do with party label. It's business, it's power improvements, and the whole bit. But what I told the folks that I'm sticking by it. They have a right. If you elect them, then they ought to have the courage to say where they're at. And I've seen over the years that black elected officials will sell out their community just as quick as anybody else because it's about a power surge and power tripping at times. and especially if you get in office for a long period of time. So the question we want to talk about, and it's a nationwide issue, and we want our listeners to call in. The question this morning as part two of this, what is our responsibility as a black community, in your opinion? When should we hold? We're going to hold the white folks accountable one way or the other. But when do we hold our elected officials accountable? Do we keep giving them a pass because they're black, and then we just talk about it in the church aisles or in a restaurant, or maybe out here at the Fresh Fridays that In Touch magazine has with 5508? What is the rule of thought from your opinion about holding black elected officials accountable? Why do we give them a pass? Do we give them a pass because they're black? Do we give them a pass because we think that's going to give the white enemies more ammunition to put us all down? What is that all about? And I'll give you a chance to chime in on that, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it.
So, good morning, everyone. I think that I don't think that we give them a pass. Well, let me just back up. I think when you are an elective, especially a black elective, you can't look at a situation that's right in front of you. You always have to look long term. What type of effect it's going to cause your community? You know, what's the end result? So you may have to ask a few more questions, right? I think that I don't think that we don't think we give them a pass. I think that a lot of times, you know, just my journey working in the community, dealing with the voter registration, civic engagement, and so forth. I think that people just expect it for somebody that they put in office, whether it be white or black, right? That they would do the right thing, because those people come out to the community and say all of these things that they're going to do, and you know they expect for them to do it when they get in and get inside or get in get that seat. So I think that for a long period of time, we supported people that you know, if I always use this phrase, if your mama sister or your mama cousin or your mama friend was running and you knew that lady was raggedy on the streets, right? She was a mess. 9 times out of 10, she's going to be raggedy in office, right? Because she's going to be a mess in office. But I think that, you know, we allowed that for a long time. Now something has happened that we're waking up saying, wait a minute, now this person has been in office XYZ many years, and nothing's happening, or I'm still complaining. I am still complaining about the same thing. I still have the concerns. I don't see my community changing. I think now we're waking up, but now we're playing catch up. We have to catch up to understand. We have to catch up to paying attention, you know, to a lot of things. I think in regards to the question I have in regards to the Rays coming here in the black community, because that's where their stadium will be. Mm-hmm. But will that be where their stadium is going to be? Because gentrification is happening, the community is changing. By the time they get here, a lot of us will be, you know, a lot of blacks will be gone from that area. So that probably won't be and not giving them a bye. But my question about that is, they're leaving St. Pete because St. Pete, they're talking about being here part-time. So are we accepting them as part-time?
Well, I think what's happening with all these dynamic issues like that, whether it's, because my belief is if you got multimillionaires, they should build their own stadium.
We're still paying for Tampa, the Tampa Stadium.
A lot of people don't realize that we do that. And people will say, well, hey, the Lightning improved Amlin Arena, but it's a catch to that. The Lightning paid for improvements at Amlin Arena, but that is a county-owned facility, and so the contract says that the county, upon a bill presented by the Lightning, has to reimburse the Lightning. A lot of people don't know that the Lightning does not own Amlin Arena. That is a county facility. Where the Yankee Stadium is, that's operated by the Sports Authority. If the Yankees make improvements at the Yankee Stadium for the minor league club, the government is under the obligation to reimburse them.
Really?
Yeah. So see, you got to look into the weeds. And what the other part of the issue I have is that I went down on Main Street this week,
Reply to the. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But reply to what we were just talking about in regards to the black leaders.
Well, that's the second part of
Okay.
it, because part of it, a gentleman that heard the conversation last week with Ed. The second half of that is that black elected officials discriminate within the black community based on income. Okay,
Say that again.
black elected officials, just like white ones, discriminate in communities based on income. I give you a good example of that. There have been elected black officials over the years that, with the exception of a couple of weeks before election time or time to vote for them, there are certain areas in their community they will never come and sit down and talk with the people like they should.
absolutely.
Okay? You see it all the time.
Yeah.
Then when they get with so-called liberal white congressmen, they have these what they call these script moments, where they bring the congressional black aid with the. I'll give you a good example. Kathy Castor is a real good example of white privilege working with black elected official privilege, and they discriminate in what parts of the black community they go to. When she comes out in the black community, it's always a stage event, photo ops, the whole bit. You've never seen her stop on the corner of Main and Howard, where the guys play checkers, where the old Cuban guys at the meat market across the street or whatever. Every event that Kathy Castor has done generally has been with upper-class black people, a photographer, take no questions, and the whole bit. Now, I'm going to give you a good example of that.
I got to refute that.
Give you a
little.
good example. They had a meeting with a lot of black officials and black leaders, and she went out to Fair Oaks to have a congressional meeting with the community. You know how long the meeting was scheduled for? An hour. Now, you tell me a district that's designed to protect Democrats, the whole bit, and she's supposed to be, civil rights, the whole bit. You only give an hour to the. It was enough interest with the seniors that she could have gave an hour to them alone. But my experience with black elected officials and liberals from the Democratic Party, and it's the same with the Republican Party, because a lot of them don't even come out in our neighborhoods at all. But when we supposed to be leaning and depending upon the influence of black elected leadership, when they don't come out and stop on the corner without the photographers and all, something is wrong with that, because what they're doing is they're sending a message that while I want Pete the wino to vote for me, I think I'm too good to stand up next to Pete on the corner of, let's say, 22nd and Hillsborough with the In Touch magazine and read without an entourage. So
let me refute. What
Okay,
you
go
said.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because don't know everything about Kathy Castor, but the idea that my experience with Kathy and her coming to, I only need to speak with her when I need for her to speak to people. So each and every time I've asked her to come, whether it's newsworthy or not, she's always, to be honest, she's always come.
Now, I'm going to show you a point of view.
Hold on one second. So she's come. And what's important to me is when they do come, how do they react? Are they standoffish? Are they not having? Because the difference between Kathy and Orlando Goose or Diane Hart, she didn't grow up in the black community. So those people have stomping grounds. They have a history within the community. Not taking up from her, just explaining what my experience has been with her. So, like I said, she has come. She's very friendly. She has come. So,
All right.
and it's not.
I'm going to show you different. And you
black.
kind of told on yourself, not yourself, but what goes on in our black community. So I want to remind everybody of the In Touch News. I can't get over this Soul Beach in November. I'm going to get me a good cigar, a black Cuban cigar, put me on a nice tank top and everything, and get the new cloggers they're wearing and hope it's not
New cloggers.
Yeah, OGs, we wear cloggers too. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, if you're gonna get the right digits for a date, you better be right with your fashion a little
Right
bit.
digits
I'm
for the
just
date.
saying. Yeah, y'all think we are hip on that touch. So when we come back, and Anna's got this new necklace on, looks like platinum, one of them $1 million platinum pieces or something like that. Two sisters and one brother. Lord help us. Anyway, we'll be right with In Touch News on a Saturday morning. Clint, write them checks, my brother. Ed, you gotta write them checks. That's all I can tell you. The kids need some groceries up there. You know what I'm saying? They got some cheddar they need too. Yeah, I'm hip. I'm hip this morning. I hung out with the hipsters last night, so I got to be hip this morning. It's a hangover effect, but a positive way. So let's go to break and we'll be right back. How about that?
You've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
Well, all I can tell you is I'm here with Robin and this lady that's soon going to be a lawyer. She's going to represent.
Very good.
Yeah, she's going to represent all the women who want to get rid of their husbands. I'm just joking, Whatever you do, it's going to be fine. Now, when we left, Robin, you were talking about, I was showing you examples of politicians and black elected officials who I stand by that discriminate in the audiences that they come out to see. And you made a comment when we were talking about Kathy Cassie. You say she comes out when I need her to speak to the people. Now, from a Republican conservative standpoint, or just a black conservative period, I want our listening audience to ask yourself, why do we have to? Why can't she come out on her own and speak?
Well, how do you know? No.
She doesn't. She doesn't.
So
She
again, how do you know that?
Well, because I'm in the community. What she has done, just like some African American politicians, they run from tough questioning. Okay, they run. I'm gonna give you a good example. She comes out with all the black elected officials and all.
Now, are you posing these questions because there's a Republican running against her now?
No, I'm posing the question, even if it was a Republican, the same thing. If you heard me say Republicans, we lose a lot of black votes because we don't come out at all. But I'm showing an example as a follow-up from last week when I was accused of just putting black elected officials. I put them all out there if I think they're not treating our community right. And here's a good example. She comes out with an announcement that they got all this money the federal government is giving them for the expansion of the Riverwalk on the west side of the river and all. They got the big announcement, the whole bit. She comes to Fair Oaks for an hour. Same congressman, same power because she's been in for a while. You know what? The first thing I asked when they told me she was coming, well, maybe she's going to bring some additional money through HUD or some kind of way, because you get all kind of federal grants that will help speed up the process of the new Fair Oaks for the seniors and the kids. No check, no nothing. So when I look at that, and when I based on my own experiences as a radio personality and others, I'm saying these folks, they show up to look good with the upper class black people but they don't bring nothing to the table for regular blue-collar working people. I'm a blue-collar man. Yeah, I got a degree, whether I cheated the last semester, but it doesn't matter. I got it, okay? I got it, because I had 21 hours I had to get out. But, I mean, whatever the case may be. But I'm concerned about that throughout the country, we give passes to black elected officials, particularly the ones who are considered liberal. Now, if you're black and you're Republican elected officials, you catch hell all the time, and sometimes we deservedly catch hell. Like Tim Scott deserves to catch hell from the black community.
I wouldn't separate. I wouldn't separate Kathy from anyone else, whether they're black, orange, or blue.
But what do we do with? When do we call them out and say, "Hey, we're tired of that's happening"?
Like I said earlier, we will put people in office and just leave them there. Now we're playing catch up because now questions are being asked. Now challenges are being made. Now people are really voicing, hey, you know what? One person may say that an elected official is our employee. We employ the electeds with our vote. That's how they get employed. And now people have expectations. They're gaining that expectation. Kathy, when she runs again, I think she's up for a re-election now, guarantee you she's going to have to answer some questions with what's going on in Congress right now. The problem with our black community is that because we've laid dormant for a while, we don't ask the right people the right questions when they are running, or we don't have the right expectations of people when they're in those seats.
Well, that brings me back to what we started out in the beginning. Whether we have elected people running for office or not, and they get in, historically, particularly, and I give you a couple of areas that it has happened to. It has happened to in New York for a long time. Charlie Rangel was the black power broker, seniority the whole bit. And then the black community said, you know what, the hell with that. We got to move on. Locally, you see black elected officials, they rotated among themselves and all. And we will talk behind closed doors and all, but we won't hold them accountable openly. Now, the question has always been, and it still is, and I've been told that you're not supposed to rip up black elected officials in public. So when the hell do you rip them up?
I don't know who told
well, I mean, you know how we have informal agreements and say we're going to give people a pass because they.
So what I do agree with when you have a black elective, I don't think that me personally, and any organization that I'm a part of or that I lead, I afford that elective an opportunity to right or wrong or to answer my questions one-on-one. If they don't, or if they ignore, then I'm going to bring it private. So I do afford an elective. I make meetings with them and air out my concerns with them.
Well, by the way, Robin, what's our number up there again? I mean, it's
In Touch Radio, reality TV, where everyone is a star.
And I know
813-444-9588. Again, 813-444-9588.
See, that's brain power from sisters. She knows the number, guys, without even looking. So when you hear the old saying that black girls are a little ahead of the guys in elementary school or whatever, well, there's a little truth to that because she didn't even look at the board.
Maybe one of our classes would be a master class on what it is to be a black woman.
But I found out, I did some research. And I asked some people on the street, because people say, well, you do a lot of research, but you don't publish it. My research is living research. You go out, you look, listen, and learn, and you ask. You don't put a lot of verbs and adjectives and pronouns and adjunctive nouns and all that other foolishness they talk about. You just ask your brother or sister what is missing with the black elected officials.
So what do you think? What do you think is missing?
Well, here's the thing. When you're elected, whether you're Republican, Democrat, whatever the case may be, and particularly with a lot of in our community, it's a discrimination aspect where they forget about the regular people. Funny, I ride the bus a lot, okay? because I ride the bus because I want to keep educating myself as to what's going on. I want to look at the trends why they keep pushing for suburban voters to ride the bus, and knowing these white folks in Riverview and all like that, they're not going to ride the bus because they But anyway, let's take this call real quick. Good morning, caller. How are you? What you say as we go straight up the middle? I want to keep my job, so I can't say straight down the middle, but straight up the middle. Go ahead, sir. Ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Edwards and Miss Lockett. I was just chiming in on your topic this morning about our local elections. We all know that, you know, once they get in the office, they can't just snap their fingers and just do it. You know, they're not magical. I mean, we don't have these magical people that can just get in office and just produce whatever they say. It takes a ring of people to come together and make things happen. We all know that.
Correct.
So once you get these people and you determine how many friends they can get on board with some of the big things they want to get done. So you know, during the campaign, what we should do is just sit down and just say, well, give me 5 things that you want to accomplish, or you give me 5 things, and then you say, give me a promise that you can promise these 3 things out of the 5, and you hold those officials to those 3 topics, you know, and then say, well, if you can't produce these things in your term, you know, we got to find somebody else that can, because, you know, our community, black community, it always is the second one to get the government support or the community support. So, and just let them know that, hey, your job means a lot to our progress in the community.
Well, question for you and Robin, both of y'all. I'm going to sit back and have y'all answer this question. Why, okay, I run for office, I get elected, okay? And then I disappear from the community. And then I will say, well, I didn't have the community backing me. What's the problem with black elected officials? And we're talking in our community, because I believe in strengthening my community.
So just say elected officials.
All right,
not,
elected.
not
Okay,
black
but what's the
officials.
problem with us getting coalitions together and maintaining or sustaining those coalitions within our community? Because I contend that within our community there is a obviously a scripted thing where blue collar, low income African Americans, Cubans, whatever's in our community, they are discriminated against by elected officials for, let's say, 9 months out of each year before they run, because of income status. And that's why you don't see them on a regular basis, whether they're on a Heartline, whether they are on the corners, whether they stop in a nondescript restaurant, whether they just put on some mix-max shocks and some tennis shoes and just come out and be with the people. There's a deliberate attempt to discriminate, and it's done by purpose. So what say you, we get us lady with this shirt? I can't get over this shirt.
Floridarizing.
I don't know what that means on a Saturday morning, but anyway, go
We're
ahead,
a
Robert.
membership-based organization,
Okay,
and
all
we
right.
empower the community to fight on issues for themselves.
And Carl, defend me or defend yourself after she speaks.
Okay. What type of candidate, you know, you have to know what type of candidate is running for that office. You can't just put any old Joe Smo because he just wants to, seek some fame or whatever. So if you don't think that candidate is going to fit the purpose that you need him in, don't vote him in. So we tend to like the candidates, then to also, check their background before we put them in office. You just got to do more research and just like, because the guy can give us a good song and dance, that doesn't mean he can dance.
Well, it's a
So,
psychological thing about that, too. Psychologically, we see a fresh black candidate. A lot of times, psychologically, we automatically think that that's going to be improvement on what we had, even from our community. And when we come back, and I thank you for calling in, caller, we're going to let Robin chime in on it. I just feel like with being outnumbered 2-1, women to men, I better be fair and give them
Yes.
above reproach on that. But go ahead for your final thing before we go to break.
And it's always a treat to see Mr. Lockett on radio in the morning.
Thank you.
Well, that's the only time I see her too, so we in the same
Thank you.
boat. Listen to
I
Facebook.
recognize I'm being recorded this time.
Facebook friends. Facebook friends is just a Saturday morning joke among friends. I'm a conservative, but I'm also humorous too, so please don't run with it and tell Daryl and Tampa Bay Tammy what kind of person you got on the air. It's Saturday morning. It's 10 o'clock. Some of y'all haven't even gotten home yet. All right, then.
And y'all have a great show.
All right, when we come back off of this break, we're going to have Robin chime in as she tries to defend this
It's not a try.
this theory against this theory I have that I think is reality. And what are you doing? Have you took time today to stop by and just say hello to somebody that you don't know? If you see a person on the street that's hungry, and want to find out if they're really hungry, invite them to go into McDonald's or somewhere to eat. If they say no, well then just ask them why didn't they ask you for a bill of money in the beginning. That's all I got to say about that. I'm a hood brother. So let's go to break. All right?
You're listening to Tampa Bay Tammy
Your girlfriend.
on In Touch Radio. In Touch Radio.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
When it comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
I know that's right.
On your smooth soul and R&B station. On the World Wide Web.
Access granted.
In Touch Radio.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. If you want to grow as a man, as a real hood brother man, take some advice from time to time from sisters. Now, the original thought may be to keep you in your place. But I'm telling you, brother, sometimes we have to listen to sisters because although their intent may to keep us in place, they also want to see us grow. But what they won't do is tell you that they want to see us grow up front because we may run with it the wrong way and leave them behind. I'm just saying based on experience. My dad used to tell me if you live long enough, the scars will remind you how far you come in spite of yourself. So, brethren, please, don't hop on the sisters because they're trying to get you right. There's another motive besides just them thinking that they're going to keep the brother in place. They want to see you grow because the more you grow, guess what? The more protective they're going to feel. And since this is Robin, before we get back to that discrimination piece, I want to call out to the brothers and sisters because it's happened more than what people think. Domestic violence issues is on the rise among our young people. I've been out this week a couple of times with teenagers and young people. They got their nails done. The brothers got his stacks, all that kind of stuff. And then you beat up on each other. It was an incident, Robin. I got to say this. And every day we should be against domestic violence. There was an incident. Nice lady come in at a local McDonald's with her brother. Before they were getting out the car, she reminded him to put on his shirt. Now he had one of them Professor Clump type of shape, so it was good for him to put on his shirt. All right, but you could tell there was supposedly some love there. So we're watching this. So she comes in and she buys stuff. They go back out to the parking lot where everybody can see it. And he just starts wailing on her, choking on her and the whole bit, calling all kind of names and all that. She opened up the back seat, and then he tells us, get in the car, and then they leave out. And she was so afraid of him. She didn't try to run or whatever the case may be. And, of course, we inside seeing it from the other side. But, we got to crack down on domestic violence. And this was a young couple. And the reason why I said domestic violence has come into popularity as well as twerking and clapping and holding guns and all. That's not black culture. you can't do that. So I'm urging our parents, those of us who been around for a while, and young people, if you're true to the cause of strengthening the black community, the last thing you want to do is beat up on your spouse or your sister or brother, and then talking about we got to get together to fight the enemy. Well, the enemy sometimes is within us, so we can't get stronger if we go against that. It's a cancer. We need to stop it. We need to take it out of the popularity of TikTok and all, as well as we need to take the guns out. I had to digress for a moment, Robin, because it saddens me to see that. And when you go to the Springs Domestic Violence Center, a lot of people don't realize that they also teach men there. So we want to bring that up. And next week I'll probably get with Clint or you, and we want to really talk about how do we decrease domestic violence in our community. But this discrimination thing that Carl and I, we all talked about, we're talking about with black elected officials, because my premise first is that you clean up your own act before you attack the Klansmen, the Oath Keepers, and all of that. And I contend that black elected officials, over my experiences, the majority of the time, they forget about blue-collar, low-income community people, or people on the street, riding a bus at a park and all. Unless they got a TV camera with them or a camera for a photo op, they're just as bad as the white folks, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or what. What say you?
So just to touch on a couple things regarding domestic violence, I can't be a real woman and not even address that, right? So there's a lot of healing that needs to go on in our community and abroad. It's not only physical abuse, there's mental abuse.
Oh, that's worse.
So how do we heal? And that young man or that young woman, the young man, you see what you're taught, not by saying do this, but by action. So a lot of times people that do it, they've seen somebody else do it. People that accept it, they've seen somebody else accept it. So how do we empower ourselves to not go through that or to heal from that trauma, right? So that's one thing. Carl said something that was very interesting. He said in regards to an elective being able to provide, get other people to vote with them. That's key, because a lot of times city councilmen, just calling out a name because Orlando Goose represent black folks. So would our question to Orlando Goose be, of course we want to know what his vision is, because it's always their vision, our vision, and it's a collective together, right? So would it be that what is he going to do, or how is it that you plan to work with those other 5 or 6 people to get your agenda, our agenda across, right? Because I think a lot of times the key to it is if he can solicit or lobby those other 4 votes or other 3 votes that he needs to push the agenda.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In order to do that, you got to build a coalition within your community first. See, I despise people, whether they're in the school system, elected officials, or whatever, that deliberately ignore and avoid people in our community because they have a lower income status. I really despise that.
So that's a top talking point with you today. So you're really
because they're wrong for doing it. It's just like if I disagree with the black Muslims.
Discrimination is a that means that you are that I don't think that is the case. I don't think that in regards to the black community.
They see it. The guys, the people that sit on the corners and all are just as educated and well versed in some areas of life, more so than all 3 of us at the table.
So the people that I service, so everything happens in pockets, right? And I'm just speaking of, because you're identifying the black community.
Yeah.
The black electives.
Yeah.
That's who you're identifying. Kathy Castor is, she's not of the community, so she's going to come in the community. I don't know what she does outside of it, but I know that the people that we service, they are all of all incomes. So that's the same with Orlando. That's the same as Diane and Gwen. So they come in my pocket, they're addressing everybody.
But they should
And
come in all of the
No,
pockets.
so what I'm saying is, outside of them being invited, so they're invited to different areas where there's different wages or people making different types of money. They're not so people are inviting them to come in. Yeah, I mean,
And that's been the mistake. Here's
not
the
to
thing.
say that that's not the only reason, or they don't just come in when they're invited. What's added to them, whatever they're doing, because I don't know everything that they're doing, but on top of what they're doing, is
But
they're
you
being
know, the
invited.
question for our audience, regardless of political level and all, but when I look in our community, once you elected, why should you have to wait for somebody to invite you in?
That's not what I said.
Okay, because you say, but what I'm saying to you, if you elect, and I guess that's why I'm not on city council, because here's one of the things. If I was on city council right now, the way some of them have dealt with some community redevelopment issues in East Tampa, that they should have been more forthcoming in their thought process and giving
So
money. and all.
that should be your question.
I would call them out. See what I guess I'm a militant Republican conservative. Here's why: if I'm sitting on a city council board and I know that I got some colleagues that are truly not interested in the black community, how long should I sit there and say nothing? It's wrong to do that because you're sending a message out that, hey, I'm letting them off the hook because they're my buddy. I'm letting them off the hook because they're Democrat. I'm letting them off the hook because it may make me pay the price more. But our community is already paying the price.
So,
Yeah, you know what
it's
I'm
the end
saying?
result you're talking about, because like even to look at, I'm using Orlando as an example. So Orlando has built his coalition. He has a coalition. Orlando is in the community because I see him, right? Neighborhood associations, people of all walks. So he's in constant contact with those people. But what you're concerned about is the end result of that vote that he's taking, not his connection with the community.
Well, on some cases, some of the elected officials over the years, and I've tracked this probably about 40 years, they're connected for a moment. And what I'm saying is, when you're trying to,
Oh yes, I can't say that about.
when you're trying to
local
energize,
electeds.
young people to take your place as you move on into a senior life, you have to look at who you have coming behind you to make a difference in your community. Okay, so young people, they see it, they know whether you fake or not, based on, first of all, when you do come out. And the second big mistake that all elected officials make is that when you come out with this fake fist bump, hey, my brother, the tone of it, that's a point.
So your question should be why white officials, because like I said,
Well, white and black, but I'm concerned about us because I'm looking.
But see, our look right now, if you're talking about county commission and city council and even school board, in regards to them being in the community or doing, being in the community, because that's all. Now listen, part of the education of being politically educated is that we not only just, those people that's in those groups that's lower income and so forth, we're not just accepting the visit. For years, we've just accepted the visit and we're fine with that. Now what happens is, since things are changing, when they come out to the neighborhood association, the boys club league, or whatever it is, now those questions are being asked of them. Because once upon a time, that's how the people in the past have been able to do nothing on city council, nothing on county commissioner. Frank Redditt did a great job, right? But he was accessible, and it's all about the accessibility.
Well, the other thing too, I looked at some of the parts of the country in the South, and particularly in the California area and some other area. You have black elected officials on a regular basis meet together, whether you agree with their platform or whatever, whether they agree with themselves, they meet more regularly. We have, before we go to break, we've had 5 opportunities that we put out in the paper that we got Hillsborough County local black elected officials. They put that headline out there. They may have one meeting. They don't meet anymore. They don't invite the public out. So it's fake. Okay,
I
and when
agree.
we come
I
back from
agree
break,
with
I'm
you.
gonna
We
let
should
you
do
talk
better
about
with
that. But
I would
today's
agree
show,
with that.
I'm just militant today because when I think of the young people that's got to take my place in the community or whatever, they're frustrated. They understand the white enemy part of it, but they're frustrated because of a lack of consistency and honesty by black leaders, in particular black elected officials, because if I'm not in the upper class of the black community, I don't see them. That's wrong. That's flat out wrong. And you know, I just call it like I said. I can sleep at night once you know you do your homework and you do your facts. So we're gonna go from there.
Yeah, discrimination is a tough word.
Yeah, but it hits
yeah.
everybody. And you got some new headphones, our producer today. Are they the same ones? Well, I guess they look better on you than the other guy. I notice everything, particularly if you come home early from happy hour. Congratulations to Middleton last night. They beat King 40-47. My grandson is moaning this morning because Hillsborough blew Blake out 7-8 to nothing, and it's one of those
78.
You heard me. With a running clock.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we'll be back in a minute on In Touch
In
News.
football?
Yeah, in football. And look at this Soul Beach, y'all. Brothers, you don't need a tan. You just need a good fitting tank top with
Some biker shorts.
and some sandals on with your nails clipped. We'll be right back. I can't get this.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
Excuse me, but do this station keep you in touch? A lot. How do you like the music? A lot. Do they play your favorite songs? A lot. And in just 2 words, how do you like the station? A lot. There you have it, folks. The moral of the story is our listeners like us. A lot. In touching you 24/7 on the World Wide Web. We're In Touch Radio.
Yeah, I'm getting it. If you want to know this melodious voice you're hearing on a Saturday morning is yours truly. Well, I got to give myself some props, you know what I mean? I used to have this voice when I was a DJ back in the day, and I still like all kind of music now. I sometimes, you know, when the moments hit you, you can find songs that you thought you'd forgotten.
So DJs used to get all the girls.
Not me. I was too short or too cheap, one of the two. So it is what it is. Now let's get back to this discrimination thing. And by the way, I want to remind the publisher, Mr. Johnson and Tampa Bay Tammy, we have not gotten our ribs. I'm driving on E. We had a one-shot deal on donuts. But the good news is that In Touch stays in touch with your needs and your wants. And guess what? What that sign say? Reality
Radio.
Yeah, so the reality
everyone is a star.
Yeah, the reality is Anna, bring your own donuts. You want to go get some of that Agent Wright barbecue. He turned 60 this weekend.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, he has a party.
You fly up there, take Amtrak or whatever. In the meantime, do your job.
God, that's
what
serious.
they say.
60 years old.
Yeah, he looks pretty good for 60 years old. He got his bald head in advance.
I need to
so,
start
you know
planning my birth. My 60. I'm 57, so I'll be 60 in 3 years.
Age
so, yeah.
ain't nothing but a number.
That's what they say.
It's either 100 or $1,000 bill. You know what I'm saying?
They say 60 is the new 40.
I don't know.
No?
No, Anna says no. So we don't talk. We got to call her. Let's call her. Come in on In Touch News. Yes, sir.
Hey, good morning. This is DJ CEO. I just want to call and thank Robin for sitting in today for the illustrious Mr. Clinton, Attorney Clinton Paris. I appreciate it, Robin. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank
But
you.
listen, I wanted to tell you, I'm up here in West Virginia, and I'm in Joe Manchin country, and I can see right now, I don't understand why in the world would Joe Manchin be so against infrastructure. When riding through this state, I had to ride through 3 tolls. Each one was $4 a piece.
Wow.
Now, you know, every other state that I ride through, I just ride right through because the tag in my windshield automatically deducts from my, it automatically deducts from my account. But in West Virginia, they got somebody sitting in that toll booth. Now, that's probably a good thing because they got a job. But it just kind of shows me, it's like, wow. I'm just looking out my hotel window, and West Virginia is not a rich state at all. It needs as much as it can get up here in terms of jobs. So all of these hills, I see some solar opportunities, but coal is dead, and he needs to understand that. And then the last thing I just want you all to do is I want to thank Edna Rain for writing this op-ed in Touch News. So make sure you pick up a copy of In Touch. It's out on the street right now, and he's talking about redistricting. What is it?
Yeah, it's a good article. We talked about it last week too.
Redistricting. That's going to be very big. Is it state redistricting or
He's
county?
talking about all the way around because redistricting process is cities, counties, school boards, state and federal thing. And Daryl, you're right. It's a good article, and of course we've been pushing the Soul Beach thing on that's coming up on November 27th out at
check it out. Thank you all.
But Daryl, before you go, can I ask you something? You asked the question why Joe Manchin is like that. He's like that because of the mentality of the white people that's in West Virginia. They still fighting the Civil War and all. They still think it's two different the haves and the have-not in the country. Black and white, and so it still is. So that's why they do that. And until something happens where the coalition changes, I assure you that if the West Virginia mindset changes and say, hey, you know what, they've been using us, and we've been helping them use us to keep black people down and all, and we're all in the black people and us in the same boat. We're being manipulated, used, and catching hell by Joe because of supporting Joe Manchin and all. Until that changes with West Virginia. And you know why you're up there? Remember, there's a HBCU up there that's been struggling for a long time. That's Bluefield State College in West Virginia. A lot of people don't know that. So
what's the name of the college?
Bluefield State College. It is a HBCU up there.
That's in this hotel. I think it's an HBCU up here, and they're having a homecoming.
That one of them schools just got back. So bring us some newspapers up there. And because there's black newspapers all over the country, and they like In Touch because you recognize that it's the old and the young and those in between that have to get together. And I'll be looking for the reels, my brother. And one other thing, you thank Anna and Robin, but did you thank me for having to sit in between these two powerful women?
Right.
No, that's a gift.
You're right. Pete, thank you, Pete, for sitting in for the brothers, man.
Right, man.
That's a gift.
I appreciate it. And look, and without your handsome face, we wouldn't know what to do.
Hey,
y'all
man.
be good.
All right. So as
he said something that was very interesting.
Ed talked about that, and that's a good article they need to read.
So the key to this is when you read this op-ed from Edna Rain, by Edna Rain, the important statement he makes was take part of the redistricting meetings, listen to what our black elected officials are saying, and watch who stands with and against them.
Exactly. All right, caller, come in on a beautiful Saturday morning. It's going to get real cool tonight a little bit. You can have your wine on the patio, and you can write your apologies to your other half on the patio too. I'm just saying, if you've been in trouble all week. All right, caller, come in.
This is Carl. I was calling back or whatever. I just want to co-sign on DJ CEO. The good attorney, he's out again. So, but Robin, you sitting in, you're holding people pretty good. But as a truck driver, I go to West Virginia. The infrastructure really bad. It's really atrocious as the roads or whatever. And some of the mills or whatever are closed down. Some of the coal refineries, they're closed down. It really looks like in Beckley, West Virginia, it looks like a ghost town there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder, why is he holding out, and he's not saying what he wants, but he's causing discourse. If you have power to make something happen or not make something happen, and you're not providing that information,
you're in trouble. And
like I
you know,
say, right. If you're not solution, you're the problem.
Yeah.
well, if you look, Carl, if you look all over the place, there are a lot of states that are people are going more into the urban areas than the rural areas because of changing technology and the whole bit. See, you can't stop progress, and you can't stop changing lifestyles that's coming about, whether it's environment or whatever the case may be. And I've always contended whether if the lower income folks and the true blue collar income people ever got together, the country would change for the better. But because of the splits that we have within our community, and because we can't, I guess it's not popular to be coalition builders anymore, and so that's why you have this divide.
No, that's not true. I can't sit and let you say that.
Well, what I mean, let me put it this way: consistent coalition building, sustainability. Okay, go ahead.
And I want to give y'all the horn.
All right, stop by and bring our barbecue back from West Virginia. So as we get ready to conclude this program in a couple of minutes, the premise for this program is to have a reality-based opinion of what's going on around you. When we talk about things starts at home, it also starts at home in our community. One of the things that Robin, I hope they'll make and give us we may have to do a two-parter on it, is what's the compelling reasons that we support all these foreign owners of businesses in our community, particularly wig shops and everything else. And then when you go ask them to donate or support the neighborhood schools, they refuse to do that.
That's a whole nother show.
But you know what? Here's the other part of that too. Brings it right back. If I'm a county commissioner, and then I know in my district that we got, let's say we got to pull up about 10 schools, and I walk the neighborhood with those parents and those children, and I go in these businesses and say, hey, look, are you a member of the Edison PTA? Are you a member of the Sly PTA? Are you a member of the Milton PTA? Or whatever the case may be, and they rip me off like that or ignore me and all like that. You know what I'm gonna do? Hey, we don't need to go to this store because they're not supporting our children. Only recently, some of the wig stores have been hiring black females to work in the wig stores or whatever you call it now. But we gotta stop that. And what I'm asking if you're gonna be an elected official, you gotta have courage for two things. One, to take the heat when you receive constructive criticism or suggestions that are different from yours. And number two, you got to have courage enough to say up front without being called out over and over again that I messed this one up. I took the wrong read on what my community was thinking on. And for goodness sake, I say it again, and Robert and I disagree, stop discriminating against income areas in our community. It's wrong. You have no justification. Why do you need a photographer or advance notice that you're going out on Main Street and Albany or whatever? I'm going to let you close it out today because I actually want to throw a brick in a way today because, So
I think that our community is slowly evolving. It hasn't evolved yet, but it's slowly evolving. And I think a lot of things that you pointed out, it is up to the community to take a stand. People will take advantage, unfortunately, people will take advantage of you or a situation if you're not pushing them, right? Some people will get in there and try to do the right thing. But just looking at the plight of electives and even just using the PTA situation, it's not the school board member to go down there. It's for the community to say, hey, we're not buying from this store. Hey, we're picking, and that's for the school board member to join them.
Absolutely.
But we as a community, have to start taking a stand. Discriminate is a tough word, right? With the community, we start standing up and we start holding them accountable and their counterparts. Because if it's I use Orlando because he's local, but Orlando Goose, he needs 4 votes. So we need to talk to those 4 other people.
All right, and we
Right?
gotta hurry up and do that before they put some more stuff.
Yeah.
I appreciate being with the ladies once again. They're all vegans, so I don't know where they're gonna feed me today at. But a brother's hungry. You know, a brother's hungry. Last week I had a trap dog, and when it was a vendor out here last week, and the trap dog. I want to tell the brothers that's listening in, I really thought it was a trap shoot. I was scared, but I ate the hot dog. It was good. But what an interesting name for a business, trap dog.
Well, before I leave, I want to thank Clinton Paris for allowing me to keep his seat warm while he's not here.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Give me a chance to look at that pretty, is it that sky orange or red hair, whatever that is. But hey, look, we do that on Saturday morning. Bye, everybody. I still don't have a ring on the finger. You see? We'll see you next week on another edition of In Touch. It's a reality news show. What can I tell you? And brothers, get ready for the Soul Beach weekend. Get the right lotion. Get your toenails trimmed, not painted, trim. All right, we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.